per finire questa mattinata avremo la nostra ultima speaker, una modenese adottata, Lara Gilmore, che da oltre 20 anni è parte integrante del team del Dietro le Quinte dell'Osteria Francescana. Lei ha anche questa grande passione per l'arte contemporanea. Quello e la sua convinzione nel ruolo dell'arte come portatrice del cambiamento e ispirazione sono stati anche elementi fondamentali nel definire l'approccio e la missione di Food for Soul, la onlus fondata da lei insieme a Massimo Bottura nel 2016. Benvenuta.
Where are we? Are we hungry yet? I'm hungry. I'm the last speaker here, so I want to do a quick wrap up. I think we need to thank some amazing people we've had on stage. First, Massimo. I have to thank you. But not for talking about culture and art and all that stuff. I have to thank you for leaving Modena 25 years ago, looking for his future, looking for what was next for him after years in Nonantola, Campazzo di Nonantola. And he left Modena, had courage, and he found me. I have to thank Modena for taking me in and becoming my second home 25 years ago. I have to thank JR for opening my eyes, for opening all of our eyes today, making us see the world from another point of view, and that is really what art is for, what we need. I want to thank Ilse for following the vision for what we were looking for, what we needed to do with that space in London to make it more beautiful. You make many places more beautiful, but really you're a standing example of the power of beauty, that it has resonating value in everything around us, in our lives. Don Pasta, thank you for recording and reminding us how much we love Italy. I am Italy's #1 fan. I don't think that I could ever live anywhere else after being here for 25 years and seeing those short clips capture what Italy really is. It's about people, stories, terroir. It has meaning, it has value, and we can't lose sight of that. Thank you. B, every bite. You reminded me of my daughter Alexa when she first started eating vegetables. We started with the pea because it was already so small and it was already a circle, and circles are easy. Today I'm going to talk about squares turning into circles. Gaston, you keep us on our toes and you make us aware of parts of the world we didn't know, bringing Peruvian gastronomy to the world, to us, to opening up doors, value to a potato, to the thousands of types of potatoes that are out there in the world. I also think that we really need to say thank you to Ruth, who is truth, who brings truth, who talks about truth. And what most of the greatest writers do is they remind us of what and who are important to us around the world. Thank you. To David Gelb for sharing Massimo and my story with the world. Hello, like people from all over the world know how Massimo and I met, how we fell in love, what Modena looks like, what it tastes like, what Parmesan looks like. That is, I'm thanking you for Modena. I'm thanking you for my children and my children's children, because I wouldn't have told that story nearly as well as you told it. Andoni, you keep us on our toes. Science, art, pictures, your mind is moving faster than any of us. the fowl, and the salt guy. I'm going to be thinking about that for a long time because I still can't figure out how that's possible. But I really want to thank the Basque Culinary Center, more than anyone, and the Basque government for bringing us all here together, because it's an amazing opportunity to be here in this beautiful college celebrating the power of food, and that's why we're here today. Food is what has brought us together. So I've put 2 pictures up here. We have a picture of some dishes at Osteria Francescana, our latest tasting menu, tutto, here on the left. And on the right, we have a picture of desserts being prepared for 100 people in the refettorio in Rio, 2016. And the reason I have these 2 pictures up here is because what I want to talk about, in a way, is how this project, the refettorios and Food for Soul, has been one of the most amazing journeys. You think you arrive at the top. You work 20 years, your whole life, you get recognition. We'd gotten our 3 Michelin stars, suffered challenges, and then Massimo had this really crazy idea. And I thought this idea was terrifying when he told it to me Sunday morning, December 2013. We were sitting around having coffee, and he said, I have an idea. And every time Massimo says an idea, I look for a really safe place to sit down, because I never know what's coming. And that morning, I was in total shock. And I was terrified, because I thought this idea of doing something we had never done before could be the end of everything that we had worked for. He wanted to work and open a community kitchen, a soup kitchen, a mensa per I poveri. He wanted to work with food waste. He wanted to call chefs, his friends from all over the world, not to do cooking demos, not to go to a gastronomic conference, not to come and do a big fancy gala dinner. He was asking them to come and cook with food he didn't even know what it was going to look like. It was going to be coming out of Expo, food that nobody else wanted, coming from a supermarket, rejected, ugly, and he was asking them to turn it into something beautiful. Worst PR nightmare ever. I mean, could have been terrible. But it wasn't terrible. It actually turned out to be this amazing experiment that, in a way, has taught us more about ourselves as Osteria Francescana, as chefs, as restaurateurs, about the power of beauty, the quality of our ideas, and how we can think about a future of food that is equal for everyone. So, Francescana, Refettorio Rio. There are many similarities and many differences. When we embarked on this project, it was an experiment. We had never cooked in a soup kitchen. We had no rule book. So what could we do? All we could do was follow what we knew. We copied our recipe from Francescana. So if I was to say what this slide is, I would say this is the what we do. We work with food. This slide is about the where. Where do we do this? We do this in places that we call restaurants. We do this in places where we invite people to come in for an experience. They're not in their kitchen at home. They're not invited to someone else's home. They're not standing on a street eating a taco or a hot dog or an ice cream. They're in a very special place that has meaning. It has ritual. It has a whole series of symbols that we recognize. Osteria Francescana, Refettorio Felix, which you've seen before from Ilse Crawford. What we tried to do with this project in an intuitive way was to transfer everything that we had learned the hard way, mistakes, struggles, spending too much money, renovating again, having success, being a leader in our field, to a completely different kind of dining experience where someone comes in and they're given a meal for free. So you no longer pay for it, but what does that mean? When you no longer pay for that, when you are someone who needs to be given something, should it be of less quality? Should it be less beautiful? Should it be less dignified? Those are the questions we've been asking ourselves the last couple of years. And we really can't find any reason why a soup kitchen or a mensa or a community kitchen shouldn't look exactly like a beautiful restaurant. Because at the end of the day, if you want people to feel good, to have a wonderful experience, to feel that they're part of the ritual of going to a special place, it has to mirror the restaurants that we have designed. So there is the what. And then there is the how. How do we do this? When we started the Refettorio Ambrosiano, we went on intuition. We had no sort of spreadsheet. We hadn't planned it all out. A week before, we decided we'd be serving people at the table instead of having them come up to the self-service line. We improvised. But when we decided to open our second and our third and our fourth refettorio, we kind of had to think about what were the values that were important in the first one. And what we learned is that we had taken these values from Francescana and we had diluted them. The first value is the slide on your left on the top, the quality of the ideas, something Massimo had been talking about. Quality of ideas coming from chefs, quality of ideas coming from a team working together, experience, technology, knowing how to be creative, knowing how to be resourceful. And we found in our refettorios that the quality of the ideas is what made the difference. It wasn't about following a recipe. Every single time you go in the kitchen, you are making a recipe, inventing a recipe. And that's what we do in our kitchens. The second column is the power of beauty. As Ilse said, when you're talking about beauty, people can say and look at you as if it's something very superficial. Oh yeah, well, you know, it's okay if it's beautiful or ugly, or, you know, let's go to the bottom line of how much that carpet cost or how much that light cost. But it's really not that way. Because if you don't give value to beauty, you're giving up the greatest thing we have. Beauty is one of those indivisible goods. The more beauty there is, the more beauty there is. It's not like something's beautiful. This room is beautiful. And the beauty is for every single person who's in this room. If it was less beautiful, there would just be less beauty for all of us here. So at Francescana, beauty means art, design, looking at every detail. We want our diners to engage with that. We want them to feel that there's value from the minute they walk in the door, and when they leave and they close their eyes, maybe the last thing they remember is the Dwayne Hansen security guard that we have standing in the entrance from 1979, an artist who used his power as an artist to make sculptures of all the people that you never see when you are walking in a museum, the security guard. And so he did a wax figure of a security guard, or the cleaning woman who's waiting outside at the airport to make sure the bathrooms are clean. At the Refettorio, this is Refettorio in Paris, we worked with JR. And JR brought inside a crypt on the bottom of the Madeleine, he brought the clouds inside because you can't see the sky. He brought the clouds because in clouds you can see anything. You can see a horse, you can see a unicorn, you can see your grandmother's face. And so the clouds represent the possibility that in this space, cavernous and dark as it is, anything can happen. And the last slide is about the value of hospitality. We're in the hospitality business, this is what we do, but oftentimes we don't look enough at how valuable that is. Serving people is can be an opportunity to restore their day. When restaurants were first open, it was come in, people with their carriages and their horses, tired and dusty, travelers, businessmen. The meal was about being taken care of. You felt a little less dusty, a little less dirty. The day was not as difficult. There's an opportunity in every single small moment of a restaurant to restore someone's soul, to restore their spirit, to make them smile and feel good about the day that they've had. And that's what we do at Osteria Francescana in every detail in our team, and we applied that to the refettorio so that we had volunteers serving our guests, smiling, often calling them by name, explaining the plate, inviting them to try something new, sharing a way of dining that maybe they've never had before, or maybe they had it once in their lives and they lost that. And so giving them something back that they once had. These are the who's. We have 3 big who in our project of Food for Soul and Refettorio. The first who's are the chefs. Without chefs, and there are many of chefs in this room who've been part of our projects, we wouldn't be able to share this message. And the message is not just fight food waste. The message is let's get together and come up with solutions so that we can reduce the waste we have in our supermarkets, in our homes, in our restaurants, and we can only do this together. Chefs working together, sharing their recipes, cooking together, coming back day after day to our refettorios. One of the most amazing things we could have never imagined was that so many chefs bring their teams to a refettorio and they cook thinking, I'll go there once and I'll never come back. And then their team has such a good time and it's so exciting and it's a challenge. I was just in New York when I saw Daniel Hum and he said, you know, we were in Paris and there were 3 of us and we were kind of in trouble there in the kitchen because 100 people were coming and we had 2 hours and we really had to get our act together and put something on the table and we wanted it to be as good as it could be. So we're finding that teams, culinary teams from around the world, they want to return and they want to cook again and they want their young students there and their stagiaires, and it's about team building, coming up with recipes, being clever. And so the who behind this project, the chefs, is one of the most important things. The other who are our artists, our designers, our architects. They're bringing beauty, but they're also bringing new ideas of how we can move through a space. Think about how we can make people feel comfortable. Ilse was talking about an area where people can have a conversation. So often we forget when you're giving someone a free meal that maybe they're not that hungry. It's not necessarily about having an empty stomach. Sometimes it's more about just having a comfortable chair, a beautiful quality of light in the room, a safe place, a warm place, it smells good, the color of the walls is appealing, or they can just sit and have a conversation with somebody. So artists and designers, without them, this project would not be possible. And the third who is you. It's our volunteers. It's the people who come from off the street, whether they're in the food business, whether the other day we were in Milan, we had a group of young professionals who work for Nestle, and they had been encouraged to organize and come and work as volunteers at the Refettorio in Milan. And the amazing thing is that they work all day at their desks, and they punch numbers, and they think about how to sell things, and they think about food and how it tastes, and blah, blah, blah. But there they were, most of them, for the first time, actually serving food to people. So the fact that we can open up an opportunity for anybody who wants to be a volunteer to get on the floor, serve some food, or work in the kitchen, or wash dishes, as one of our amazing dishwashers in Milan, he said, I'm too shy to serve someone at the table. I'm not very good with a knife, but I'd love to be part of this project. Can I wash the dishes? Our volunteers are not only amazing because they do what they do and they come and they give their time and energy, but they're amazing because when they leave, they bring a message to the greater public. They talk to their friends, and that is the ripple effect of being able to invite many people into this project. Both in Rio and in Paris, we have a 3-month waiting list for the volunteers, not for the people who are coming to eat, but for the people who want to be there. They want to serve at the table, they want to put a smile on someone's face, and this, I think, is the greatest importance of this project and projects that are similar. And in a way, it's the circle. The title to the talk was Turning Squares into Circles, which was a little reference to one of my favorite artists, Boetti. And he did this crazy video back in the 70s. He was a bit of a dreamer. He wanted to turn circles into squares. And so the video is of him throwing little stones into a pond. And the video just goes on for hours and hours, and he's just sitting there throwing the stones into the ponds and making concentric circles. They never turn into squares. But the value of that story is that he dreamed of doing something impossible. I think today our world is made of too many squares. We're all put in our boxes. The artists are in their boxes, the chefs are in their boxes, the journalists get in their boxes, the designers, the general public. There's not enough circles where we can be concentric, where we're overlapping, where we have an opportunity for one day, maybe just working in a soup kitchen, to all be in the same space, participating in the same action of bringing a meal to a table. So I'd like to propose that concentric circles, circles that are inclusive, circles that are engaging different sectors of society, is a way to think about food in a new light. And the more that we were able to create these circles and create communities around food, the more we will be able to change the way not only we think about it, the way we shop, the way we throw it away, the way we eat, but also the value we give to it. At the end of the day, I really went into Food for Soul and the Refettorio project with a lot of fear. Massimo has no fear whatsoever. He's like a train running forward. I was terrified that this could be a chapter in our life that I didn't know how it was going to end. There was no final destination. You're not going to get 3 stars for opening soup kitchens. You're not going to, But I realized that there is no final destination for that. It's a continual circle, and that our project has brought us full circle to understanding better why we do what we do, why we're here in Modena, why our team is important, why the art on the walls, why we open our doors every day. It's for sharing, it's for cooking, it's for being together, it's for restoring, repairing, feeding, and making more circles. Thank you.